You know what? I struggled with this one. Hello, today we're doing the in-action video of Ori, which is a creative sound pack by Orchestral Tools. Now, as I said, I kind of struggled with this one when I was doing the walkthrough. Honestly, I thought I could do a lot with it and I was really looking forward to it. But when I got into the nitty-gritty, I kind of struggled a bit, and I'll explain why. Number one, the range. A lot of instruments, if we just take a look at the tongue drum right here, as you can see, and as I mentioned in the walkthrough, have a very limited range, and they're kind of stuck in this little bit of range here. And so I struggled finding bits for the low, bits for the high. Yeah, there's one or two instruments with those sort of things, but they just, I wanted more. I wanted more range. More to play with within the frequency spectrum. Another little problem I had was percussion. Lovely little bit right here at the bottom, processed, and then there was percussion. But there was only one source of thing in there, and that was kicks. And there was plenty of them, and if I was looking for a kick and not just using this library on its own, that would be great. But all they had was a kick. And the third thing I'm going to mention before we get into the pieces itself is some of the notes. I think it's simply because it is, well, I say tuned metal. Some of it's not quite tuned. A lot of it is, well, you wouldn't want to do chords with. If you watch the walkthrough, you know what I'm talking about. Especially something maybe like the champagne cooler. There's a lot going on with the actual sound itself. It's quite a complicated sound. And it's not what I would really call tuned, and trying to use it as a tuned instrument doesn't really work. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed with the library, I'm just saying it's kind of not what I expected going into the actual piece itself. I do think, though, that this would work really well with other libraries when you're not restricting yourself, but on its own, I struggle more than I normally do. What I will say is I think these will work really well together in the creative sound pack sort of world. So Orchestral Tools have released several creative sound packs, and I have a few of them. My favorite actually being Arbus, I think that's how you play it, or Orbis, which is the natural forest percussion. Absolutely love that. And I think that would work extremely well with Ori, because this is a more tuned sort of bass. Add just a bit of percussion, throw it in with some Orbis, and it would work exceptionally well, especially since the mic positions are actually very similar. You've got the close, you've got the far, you have this very intimate sound coming from all these libraries. And so stick them all together, and I think you'll come out with a really interesting piece. And I might do that on me composing sort of video. Actually, it's just using these creative sound packs, maybe creating a little piece. I think that would be fun. But let's move along. We're looking at an actual in-action demo. What have we actually used? So all the actual instruments I have used, I have labeled them here accurately. I would feel maybe one or two not so accurately. This one specifically is the timber bamboo for the kick, so I should probably relabel that. Now, my favorite instrument probably has to be the alto glockenspiel. Absolutely love this. One of the main reasons, you've got a little bit more range, and it's actually a really fun little instrument, the alto glockenspiel. I do absolutely love the tongue drum. I'm a sucker for a tongue drum, and I did a whole video showing a free one by, I think it was Ample Sounds, which was crazy good and had lots of range. This one's sadly a limited range, but you do have this nice little tight bit there. I think I only really used the sustain and paintbrushes. This was only a quick 1 minute piece, something I threw together. Kalimba, everyone loves a good kalimba. I like the almost percussive sound it gives. And then I actually ended up using a lot of the process sounds to create melodic sections or drones, which is these little bits down here. And I only used the Tune Metal Ensemble patch too, simply because of range as well. But overall, this is not a complicated piece at all. One thing I did say and I really like about this library is the fact that you're not having to do much with regards to legatos. You're not having to put many MIDI faders, stuff recordings in there. It's not like you gotta go in and do the vibrato, do the dynamics, do the expression. A lot of it is just percussive sort of sound, so definitely work on your velocity changes. You can see that I've definitely gone in there and tried my best to create some variation within the sound. You do get some lovely dynamic range with these sounds. Absolutely loved it. But let's break down some of these sounds and bits that I used. I found, well, as you could probably hear in this piece, it's quite easy to do some arpeggiated sounds, and they come across beautifully. This is the tongue and drum, and you get that beautiful tap, and then just complementing it with the tuned metal ensemble up here, almost playing the identical thing, just highlighting certain qualities of the sound. The alto glocking should be able to bring some variation and emphasize other sounds as well, which is where my melody is. The kalimba, just to add some, almost a little tappy, percussive sort of quality to it. Almost going on the minimalism aspect of it, just building it up and heavily basing this piece on rhythm, very obviously. The kick, I love the quality of the kick. It just really comes through nicely in the mix, and you have this beautiful bass sound that you don't actually have to do much with. Now, the buttress roots, I thought this complemented the melody very nicely, because you get this lovely, deep, rich bass sound there. And then how could I go without using a tremolo with the amount of tremolos we have in this library? So a haptic drum, or happy drum, with a bit of dynamic change there. Modulation, bit of modulation to really bring it out. And that little ping you hear in the middle of the piece, this bit right here, it's quite a complicated sound, but especially within the context of the piece, I felt it worked really nicely there. Which, complementing it with this process sound right here. So we just play these two sounds. You have these sort of tremolo-y process sound with this complex across the spectrum, really, especially that little bit there to, I guess, create some euphoria, I felt at least. But very simple. You can see there's not actually that many instruments going on. I only have 10 of those that are really going much throughout, maybe half of those. But let's just jump in and show you the piece itself. So a fun little piece. What I love about it as well, just listening about myself right now, is the intimacy that comes across and the rawness of the sounds. You do get such gorgeous sounds right there in your ear holes. Just the realism, the intimacy that really comes across. And you also get that with the process sounds. It's not just this, you have these tuned metals that they've beautifully sampled, but these process ones, they have that sense of realism. They've kept that organic quality in the sound, which in all honesty is not easy to do. I did my master's in sound processing, specifically in acousmatic music, and believe me when I say I did a lot of work trying to keep sounds organic, and it's very easy to destroy the quality of a good sample. But a beautiful library overall. Not what I expected. As I said, it can be a little bit difficult, and that's kind of why I held back on using so many instruments. I know there was a lot in the library, but I wanted to create something happy, something tonal. I feel you could do a lot of almost atonal horoscope stuff with this, but I like this library. Is it worth 79 euros? I don't know. More like 50 if I was being fully honest. I'm definitely going to be doing some more work with this library, moving on to some more horoscope stuff and then mixing it with other libraries. But I've hoped you've enjoyed this demo and in action uh, video on Ori. And, after working with it a bit, this has at least been my opinion. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.